And as people join, I'll just let them in. So I'll start by just telling a little bit about myself and my journey. I'm Dr. Lily Woods. I'm a PhD. One of my PhDs is in neuropsychological assessment, and the other one is in quantum and theoretical physics. And what brought me to the world of alternative medicine is I have a son who is very, very sick, and we had a very, very long journey with lots of trips and errors. And much like you and I talked a little bit earlier, Raphael, we really had to find our own way, and we're still finding our own way. But it's like when you learn of all the limitations in our current medical system, it's very, very easy to start learning about the alternative ways that you can reach out and find things that help other people. So today we're going to talk mostly about peptide bioregulators. There's a whole world of peptides. The majority of what you hear when you reference peptides are the therapeutic peptides. And we'll talk a little bit about what those differences are as we go through the presentation. But today we're going to really concentrate on the bioregulators.
All right, let's do this.
All
Let's
right.
do it. Oh, very cool.
My company is called Body Harmonics, and we deal with not only peptides, I'd say peptides are about 50% of my business. I also do things with frequency medicine. I work with people that do tonal chiropractic and adjustment chiropractic, and we kind of do an all for functional and alternative medicine. So um, it's really the future of health. And today we're talking about peptide bioregulators. So when you think about peptide bioregulators, I really want you to think about the difference between the two of them. And therapeutic peptides can be a short chain of amino acids up to about 14 to 20. Over 20, it's considered a protein. Bioregulators are 2 to 4 amino acids, so they're really, really small. And they don't sit on top of the cell like a therapeutic peptide. A therapeutic peptide is a signaling, it's a helper. So it'll sit on the outside of the cell membrane. And if you think of like a GLP-1 or like a HGH, growth hormone receptor peptide, they sit on the outside of the cells and they actually go to those receptors and the amino acids know where they're going. So they're very, very smart. They go to the part of the body that is specific to them. They've actually morphed across, our evolution to become very, very specific. So a GLP-1 is meant, to help with weight loss. It actually slows your stomach down, et cetera. So those are signaling for certain behaviors to happen within your body. A peptide bioregulator is very, very different. It actually permeates that cell and it goes into the nucleus of the cell and it knows what that cell, say we're talking about a heart organ and a stem cell that's in the heart. It'll go into that cell and it knows which gene switches are supposed to be on and activates them and which are supposed to be off and it deactivates them. And so it's very, very powerful. It actually does a whole reset on that organ. And so then that organ uses that new transcription in the DNA to start producing new cells that are the way that they're supposed to be made. Over time, our cells can get damaged and get little, like a CD gets a scratch in it, and it starts skipping or it gets some damage. And so they need this reset. A lot of these bioregulators are used once every 6 months or once a year. And so they're very, very deep powerful bioregulation peptides. They restore and regulate the cellular function. And do you guys know what epigenetics is?
No.
Yes.
Okay, so epigenetics, I'm going to go very high level on this, but when we're born, we have our whole set of DNA. I think everybody knows that they have genes and DNA that regulates who they are as a person. It's not just your eye color, it's really deep down into how you process nutrients.
Mm.
That's called metabolomics and, methylation patterns that get involved in your cellular functioning, et cetera. Epigenetics plays a part in that because epigenetics is how our bodies actually use that material and how it impacts who we become and who we are today. So if I
Mm.
can't process folate epigenetically, that will obviously have a downstream impact on my body, right? I will have some impacts because I can't process folate and some of the things downstream won't be manufactured appropriately. The same thing is taking in heavy metals or toxins for our environment. Our environment plays a very deep role in epigenetics as well. So many, many, many factors. We're not going to go too deep in that. But epigenetics really is how we process in our bodies and from our external inputs from the world and how that impacts who we are. And so I already talked about the turning on and off of the gene expressions, and that can repair, regenerate, and really impact longevity. So a lot of the things we're talking about today are not only for healing, they're also for longevity, and a lot of times they overlap. Any questions on this one?
I do have a question.
Sure.
So, can the peptide bioregulators indirectly and directly affect methylation then, in a way?
Yes, they can.
Okay.
Yep. And
Okay.
once again, the bioregulators are very specific to a tissue or an organ or a process. And so they go into the actual, you might know this, but a lot of our stem cells in adult bodies are 97% already differentiated. And a lot of like, if you talk with Brian Sinclair in Harvard University, he'll talk about X differentiation, which really means that that stem cell is going to produce other stem cells that are like cells, like your heart, right? And same with the methylation. There's parts in our methylation. Every single part of our body has a different type of methylation. Our kidneys has a process, our liver has a process. So each one of those organs impacts those methylation patterns. Does that make sense?
100%. Thank you.
Okay. Anyway, here's the mechanisms of the bioregulators. We talked about the peptides being a family of substances whose molecules are built from two or more amino acids. Peptides encompass around half of all known hormones and are the majority of enzymes in our body. There exists a distinct class of compounds, though, known as peptide bioregulators, and they can initiate protein synthesis. So we talked about them already being short chain amino acids, and the ones that we take into our bodies, the ones that are prepared, are extracted from animal organs and tissues, mostly bovine, actually. And this was all discovered in Russia. And all of the research done over years and years and years of time in the 1970s till now has proven how important that these are. They belong to a class of biologically active substances in pharmacology, and they work by interacting with the cellular receptors, the enzymes, and the other molecules to regulate all of these physiological processes going on in our body. They also help to optimize our cellular metabolism. We were talking a little bit about the methylation. That's a lot of our cellular metabolism and how our mitochondria are working and how they're processing to get to ATP, which we need to, for all the energy in our systems, and so many different things. They repair damaged tissues, they enhance the organ function, and they support overall health and well-being. It has been reported, and I don't have any personal experience with it, but people that are even on dialysis have been able to get off dialysis with kidney bioregulators. So that's
Wow.
powerful. And people with problems with their heart have been able to expand the ability of their heart to repair itself, angiogenesis, and lots of other things with not only the bioregulators, but other peptide use as well. So the peptide absorption occurs just like everything else in the small intestine. And there's macro and micro ileum they work through these dense networks of lymphatic and blood capillaries all through our body. So once it gets into our intestines and it's processed, that's breaking the blood-brain barrier. And so they're small enough to go directly in there without really being, damaged by any of the acids or the processes in our systems. And so they're able to get right where they need to go. They go right into the blood and they're able to cross that. So the short peptides are considered to be poorly hydrolyzable, and that means that they aren't going to get eaten up by the processes in our body, that are stomach acids that are meant to digest and break down. They're not getting broken down. So they maintain their structure during the absorption in the gastrointestinal tract and exert their regulatory action. And so regulatory action, what does that mean? They're going to go where they need to help regulate that organ back to its state of well-being.
Jeez.
So there's a lot going on here. Any questions? So how do they work? This is a little bit complicated. It's a human biology slide over here, clinical metabolomics. But we're talking about how a stromal cell interacts with our DNA and our mRNA and how the peptide regulators bring those cells back to homeostasis. So what is homeostasis? It's bringing a system that's out of balance back into balance. And every single one of our tissues and organs and every part of our body knows what homeostasis is. When that peptide bioregulators come into contact with the organ and they start working on the DNA, it's almost like they unzip it. They go in there and they turn everything on that's supposed to be active. They turn all the switches off that are supposed to be inactive, and it regulates what's being produced. So then the next time, as you can see on the slide, the next time the DNA molecule unwinds and the information is read from it, every time a cell is processed in the body, every time a new cell is built, it unzips it, reads the information. Now it has a cheat sheet, RNA, and it constructs what it needs to synthesize the protein. And the very one that was previously degraded now, after the bioregulator resets it, is now a fully formed cell that is back to homeostasis. So all the bioregulatory peptides are formed from protein, and without them, the synthesis of that same protein is impossible. So you can see how, like for longevity or chronic disease prevention or even natural healing, how this is such an important part of the peptide family. And what they do is no short of amazing. And they're so simple, 2 to 4 amino acids. It always amazes me. Questions on this one?
So they're manufactured, man-made, or these peptides come from actual proteins we ingest, like beef or chicken?
These are all capsules because they're so bioavailable and they don't break down in the digestive system. So they haven't been found to have to be injected. A lot of the longer peptides that are 14 aminos and some of the bigger ones get broken because they're fragile, and that's why you inject them, so they go right into the bloodstream where the bloodstream can pick them up and use them. And so this one doesn't need that form of mechanism. You had another part of your question too. What was that?
When you're saying proteins, these are man-made proteins. These are not proteins that we get from animals eating meat and things of that nature. Okay.
No, it's not from meat we eat, but they are manufactured from mostly bovine. So they take the glands and the organs, etc., and they manufacture the bioregulators from a lot of those, and those have already been proven to be highly effective and clean, so that we're not getting any kind of compounds that are dangerous to our bodies, or the toxins, or any kind of fungus or anything like that. So they're very clean, they're very, very highly absorbable by our body, and they're the same. I mean, when it comes to the mammal population, a lot of our systems aren't that different, which is really quite amazing. And a lot of the way things work aren't that different. So we're able to reuse those things. So not man-made, but kind of borrowed for our benefit. If that makes sense.
How do these basically bioregulators work to handle chronic disease, which supposedly is an epidemic in this country right now today?
Well, and once again, chronic disease is huge, right? I mean, why don't we just pick, kidney failure, which, could be from diabetes or you name it. It's like when your kidney, and I mentioned earlier, that's why I picked the kidney, but I've got a kidney bioregulator right here. This is what the ones that I use look like. Can you guys see that? It's not showing up very well, but they're just small little capsules. And the protein is built from them. These are 2 to 4 amino acids. So a protein is like 20 of them put together.
Yeah.
These are deconstructed and very, very pointed and very, very powerful because of that, because they have just the directions of go to that cell and fix it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So here's Professor Vladimir Kavasin. This is the Russian scientist that developed most of the bioregulators.
Hmm.
The story that I've been told is that a lot of the Russian soldiers were coming home from battle absolutely aged and sick, and they didn't understand why. So his job was to shore them up and make sure that they were able to function. And he found all of these peptide bioregulators. He is a gerontologist. He is a very intense scientist. All of the peptide bioregulators for all of the body systems. I mean, there's so many of them. I have a list on my wall here that I'm just looking at. I mean, there's so many different ones from organs and tissues and blood vessel and prostate tissue and retina. I mean, you name it, every single one of those has differentiated tissues that need to be processed. So for me, I'm always taking 3 to 4 of these bioregulators, or there's some new ones that have come out recently. I have, just let me grab a bottle. Once again, I don't know how many of these are showing up, but this one in particular is combined, like it's got a blend of like 4 or 5 different things. So this company, Integrated Peptides, has been working really hard on the bioregulators and has found that this one's for thyroid. It's called ThyroPep, but it not only does the thyroid, it does the blood vessel, and it does the thymus, and it does the pineal. So it's like if you have those 4 together, then it's really powerful. And so they've done the research to say, okay, we've fixed one, but how do we fix everything in the system? What's the most powerful way to go after these? Because most people, once they understand the bioregulators, are taking 3 to 4 at a time. So if you just can take one capsule and they're together, it's like marvelous. So um, so we talked a lot about the peptidases, breaking it down into fragments and the enzymes. I mean, we all kind of heard these terms before and how the fragments of proteins and the segments of amino acids are connected in a specific way. The bioregulator specifically and strictly corresponds to a specific segment of the DNA molecule, and it lines with the segment just like a magnetic key, signaling the magnetic lock to open a door. The DNA molecule unwinds, the information's read, cheat sheets are constructed, and that is used to synthesize the proteins. And the very one that was previously degraded is now repaired because the bioregulator has gone into that DNA molecule and reset the instructions to be the way that they're supposed to be. Any
I have a
questions?
question.
Yeah.
Perfect timing. With the peptide, um, is there one directly? Because I was thinking while you were talking about leaky gut, is there anything for like leaky gut, a peptide directly that can turn things around real quick? Assuming that you got rid of whatever's causing leaky gut.
That's right. Well, and that is a complex issue. I have like a series of 3 videos just on leaky gut. So it's a good question. Um, there's a stomach one. That's also blood vessels. That's also intestines. So, and you're right. There's so many different things because if your gut is leaky, what you really need to do is heal that, right? Because that structure is broken. Those intestinal barriers have been broken open, right? And I'm just trying to use my hands here. It's leaking because there's been toxins that's gotten in there, or heavy metals, or mold, fungus, a lot of different things, and it's broken open that barrier. That goes straight into the blood-brain barrier, right? That pathway now is not filtered through the tight coupling of what it's supposed to be doing. So it's really quite dangerous to have leaky gut. BPC
Okay.
157, KPV, thymosin alpha 1, TB 500 are all really powerful injectable peptides. I know BPC is available as an arginine salt, as a capsule, but it's not very bioavailable. And so a lot of the tablets aren't consumed like the injection. But that's like, if anybody's going to take a peptide, that is the entry peptide because it heals your muscles, your tissues, and it's really good for leaky gut. And it's made of digestive enzymes. Did that answer your question?
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
All right. In ideal conditions, a healthy body replenishes about 90% of the peptide deficit using its own internal reserves, and the other 10% are acquired from food. The problem arises when the body is subjected to stress factors, sedentary work, poorly ventilated areas, improper diet, poor environmental conditions, etc. And when you are under the influence of these, which we always are, whoa, we're always under the influence of this, right? Your organs and your tissues gradually wear out. And imagine the level of stress that we're all under now with the constant bombardment. They always say that in the last 10 to 20 years, the stress factors have gone up exponentially, right? So we're not even, and I'm going to talk a little bit about food. I think we are aware of our food system and how in our country, things that are regulated as not food are in our food. They're not filtered out, and many other things, the hormones and the pesticides and the heavy metals that get consumed. And our food is just really not feeding us anymore. And so that's why all the peptide supplements are so powerful and important. They come in and they start replenishing these deficits and make your body stronger and functioning better. So when the tissue is producing the necessary amount of the required proteins, its functions normalize. But if your body continues to be subjected to stress, the organs and tissues will malfunction again, requiring support once more. What's more. So, I mean, it's something that we have to constantly be cognizant of, how to bring our body back to homeostasis, how to keep it in homeostasis, how to be aware of what we're eating. The 5 pillars of health. I talk about that all the time. And, gut health is like buried in, the nutrition one, but stress. If you are under a lot of stress and the hormone cortisol is in your body, almost nothing else matters. Your body is so busy fighting that stress that your nutrition isn't going to work. If you're using peptides, it's not going to work. If you're trying to balance your hormones, it's not going to be as effective. You have to get that cortisol down. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. I do a lot with vagus nerve stimulation, et cetera. And there's mind body techniques that you can use. But getting stress out of your life is incredibly important. Um, Stress, sleep, you got to be sleeping 7 to 8 hours a day. It's our natural detoxification process. It cleans up senescent cells and really helps our bodies function better. So if you're not getting that amount of sleep, you're not getting the right level of cleansing happening in your body. Nutrition, we talked about that. Mindset, it has a little bit to do with stress, but it's also separate. How you think about how the world's going to be and how you think and how you actually project your experience in the world is more important than people realize. And then also movement. You've got to get your body moving. Lean muscle mass on your body is a predictor of longevity. Visceral fat is the opposite. It's a predictor of earlier death. So, and it also is a predictor of serious illnesses. So that's a lot. Any more questions on this slide? And peptide bioregulators have shown high effectiveness across various diseases and pathological conditions. Approximately 15 million people have used peptides without any reported side effects or complications. Peptides are natural substances that our body knows and recognizes, and they don't hurt us. They have no contraindications except for the standard ones, like if you have an intolerance to a compound, if you're pregnant. There's a lot of parts of pregnancy we don't understand, and so why complicate a already complicated process, and breastfeeding as well. You don't want to impact, anything, with adult peptides in a, developing infant. But peptides can be taken alongside most medications or any type of food, and they are not contraindicative.
Mm.
Questions about that?
I have, what about peptides and cancer?
It's great for cancer patients. I work with a lot of people that are going through chemotherapy and radiation, and it just kills so many different parts of your body and your organs and your processes and your nutrition. They have to get peptides in their body. It's a way to get them back to healthy. And so that, I mean, the chemotherapy alone could kill them, right? So it's a lot of times really important to get this type of healing into their bodies. So when people are very, very, very sick, they can have profound effects and profound healing, profound alleviation of chronic pain, and a lot of other things that have happened. Is it a magic bullet? No, because if your hormones aren't balanced, if your nutritional intake is bad, you can put peptides in your body and it might help a little bit, and then it's going to crash again because your body's not to the state where it can actually function appropriately. Does that make sense?
Right. We need a foundation before we can do anything. Like you mentioned, sleep, the most common things, make sure you're hydrated and whatnot, because if there's too much inflammation, there's no hormones going to penetrate the cell, and you need
That's
to
right.
fix that. So yeah, that's why I was thinking about the peptides. It's kind of like a little bit of a cheat, little cheat. You
It
mentioned the
is.
CD, like scratch, it's like bringing a brand new CD, and all of a sudden, if you can continue that, like, you're basically starting new,
It's
in a sense.
amazing. What you're saying is so important because it's really, really amazing. A lot of the works that are happening in longevity, Dr. Fahey and Dr. Brian Sinclair at Harvard University, and a lot of other people are doing so much research on exactly what you're talking about. And we can now reverse our biological age. And this is something that I am doing and a lot of people are doing. And they say that the human body can live to 140, but who wants to live when you're sick or in chronic pain? So if you can't live to that age and be really productive and living your life, then why? So all of this longevity medicine is putting peptides and certain chemical components in your body that are known to have healing effects. But you're right, without the foundation, you can't do anything. So getting the gut health, the detoxification, all of the stress, sleep, mindset, exercise, all of those things have to be wound together into a lifestyle. If you don't change your lifestyle, don't waste your money on peptides and other expensive things because you're wasting it because your body cannot consume it. Does that make
Yep.
sense?
And if,
Yep.
yep. And if you got leaky gut too, I would say the same thing. You're just throwing them out.
It's the worst, and yeah, people, they say, I don't know why there's fast food anymore. I don't know why. It's just like smoking. I mean, some people just kind of, they don't care, and it's giving them some benefit, but they don't understand well, they might understand the terrible impacts on their body. But if you eat fast food, research has shown that within 10 minutes of eating that, your body is acting like it's had a severe infection. It's trying to go kill it. So, I mean, that says a lot to me.
Yep. I've read about that and I heard about that too. It's pretty incredible that just not to go into the rabbit hole, but just the seed oils alone,
Yeah.
you're better off eating the sandwich and not the fries, because the fries will mess you up for 3 weeks
Oh,
before you get
oils doesn't
healed, if you
work.
have an innate
Yeah.
immune system or something. Yeah.
Avocado oil, olive oil, coconut oil, MCT oil. Those are the only types of oils people should be using that are healthy for our bodies and, work with our food versus against it. Beef tallow actually is even better. McDonald's used to use beef tallow in their fries and they moved to seed oils like everybody else. And yeah, the seed oils, if you've ever gone out like to a sports bar and you look at the menu, it's like usually you can find one thing that's not deep fried in seed oil. And I don't eat it anymore because I know it's so bad for me.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And I wanted to add into what you said prior to most people always eating it. The thing is, I've noticed is that the majority of people go through their life not really ever feeling good. So the majority of people, will are don't know how good you feel until you feel good, or don't
Oh
know
yeah,
how bad you feel until you feel good, and then you're like, I'll never go back to that lifestyle again.
that's right. Absolutely. So I talked a little bit about the weight loss and biological age reversal programs that I have. I really feel like I'm an educator. My whole journey in life, and I talked a little bit at the beginning about this, is to teach people how to heal themselves. I don't care where you go for your care. I don't care who you find that is working on these things that we've already talked about, but go do it. Find out how you're genetically methylation. The test is $400. And if you consider, that investment in your health to know exactly what your genes can and can't do in terms of processing nutritions, it's invaluable. Also getting a comprehensive metabolic panel with hormone, gut health, nutritional balance. It's all in there. And we should all go and get these things, understand the lifestyle pillars that we already talked about, and how I feel like I'm dancing with my slide deck. Um, And make sure that you align the metabolics to your future state with peptide therapies, your nutritional supplements that you're bringing into your body, and lifestyle remediations. If anybody thinks they're going to take a GLP-1 and then stop taking it and not regain that 50 pounds in the next 2 months, you're wrong. You've got to change your lifestyle. So, any other questions?
So far, so good. For cancer, you mentioned PCB as one of them, or do you have different ones? I just couldn't catch it quick enough.
Oh, you mean BPC,
Yes, BPC, yes.
body protection compound, BPC 157. It
157.
is the peptide, the entry-level peptide. Almost every biohacker gets on BPC 157 from the get-go, and it's super powerful. I actually,
And these are over the counter as well, most of them or some of them?
these are all supplements. It's not always easy to get the injections. You have to know how to buy them. If you want to do peptide injections, you have to know how to buy them, what the quality is, and how to look. And there's a whole lot of math involved in reconstituting them. But keep in touch, and I'll be certainly willing to walk you through it if you're interested. This is something, I don't know if you can see this, but this has BPC 157
Yeah.
and KPV, which are very powerful peptides. And the combination of this is meant to heal that leaky gut. It's a really good peptide. It's by New BioAge, which is a bunch of PhD pharmacists that have put this together. And so this is very high quality and very, it's good and absorbable. And there are some good supplements, but you really have to know how to pick and choose and what's good and what's not good. And so you have to kind of teach yourself what to look for. Look for certificates of analysis that show 99 point something purity and reputation of the company. Look at the reviews, etc., and what they take for payment methods. I mean, all those things are really important when you're going out to see exactly what's available in the market, etc.
Okay. Can you bring that one back up a little closer? I want to see if I can
Yeah,
take a quick
sure.
screenshot if you don't mind. There we go. Beautiful. I got it. All right. And
Yeah.
are they pricey?
Oh yeah, they all are because they're very expensive. You have to make them in small batches now because there's not, the huge pharmaceutical companies own a lot of that production, et cetera. So, but it's the prices are going to come down. So right now it's not the cheapest thing to be involved in. It's not the cheapest way to get yourself healthy, but it's your health. So every dime that I spend on it, I think is a worthy investment.
I think I spent about 300 and change, maybe a little more. Get my
Oh, so you're not even into it yet.
I know, but I'm just doing my 3 days a week like I'm doing. I got the 1 7, I've got the collagen, I've got the health. So I noticed even at my lift today, I was I was doing 225 on lat pull downs like 3 ways without a problem. It was like, man, I couldn't believe it. So
Yeah.
I can tell the difference in my energy level. I tell the difference in how my joints feel, my muscles, recovery. Yeah, I can tell the difference.
That's
Oh
amazing.
yeah, I definitely can add in and I can say the same thing. But like you said, you have to be well regulated, but you could definitely tell that like when you get good quality, especially like methylated vitamins, if you can tolerate them, you could feel the difference.
Everybody should always take methylated vitamins. And some people can't tolerate them, like folate or something. You have to know what your methylation patterns are. But methylcobalamin B12 is one of the most important vitamins that everybody gets, and some of the other B vitamins, a B vitamin complex that's methylated is really like one of the top things that you should be taking. Of course, vitamin D, everybody's deficient in zinc, and a lot of those you can get in a really good. Um, I've actually gone to the powders in those, so I can just pop them in a smoothie and not have to worry about taking the capsules because there's so many of those entry-level nutrients. You just want to be sure you're feeding your body.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Oops,
That's okay.
I fell
We're
out.
wrapping now. Yeah, no problem. But just ping me on Meetup and we'll talk some more.
Okay, definitely. Do you
Welcome
have?
to the
Oh,
fun.
yeah, I'm excited. I do this all on the side. Like 2 days ago, I had one with another functional medicine for free too, but it's just all part of the learning. And if it's not that, it's on YouTube for 2 or 3 hours on presentations. Same thing, just taking notes and like a detective, making a map and plotting dots.
Yeah, and the mold and the fungus that you talked about before, it's really bad for you, and it's difficult to keep it away, because especially if you live in a warmer climate or around water, any of those things, it's like you almost have to constantly be fighting that. So just be aware.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure I haven't been able to check for it, but I'm pretty sure I have the HLA-DR gene mutation because
Hmm.
my family, everything kind of happened when I got back from the military and I went to go to live with my parents for a bit to kind of reassess everything, and that was a terrible move because they clearly don't have it, but I could see they're having other kinds of symptoms. But I had in 3 days I was hitting rock bottom, like pain from head to toe. I'm pretty sure I had mast cell activation. It got me suicidal. It dropped me to my knees. Luckily enough, it was the first time I've met with the Grim Reaper, and I decided, no, the answers are out there. I mean, we live in the 21st century, and all the answers are out there. And I couldn't, I got into biohacking. Somehow
Yep.
I found out functional medicine is, and I started plotting all the dots together and started taking cold showers, stimulating my mitochondria, eliminating food sensitivities and allergies, and I saw my immune system go up, and boy, it started a journey. So I'm using my pain and struggles for good.
Yeah, those gut tides would be amazing for you because those really work well with a lot of mast cell and immune system dysregulation, etc. But yeah, ping me, we'll talk some more.
Sounds good.
Good
Thank you,
luck
Dr.
and
Lilly. I
welcome,
really
and
appreciate it.
I'd love to hear your story. It sounds like you have a lot to offer and you're going to help a lot of people.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Look, I'm getting goosebumps.
That
I
means
would
it's
get on.
true. That means it's true.
It is, and I definitely feel it in my soul.
Good.
Because it's the only way I can look at it. Because from where I came and I hit that wall, I realize now that there's a bigger purpose for me in this world, and it's to heal,
That's right.
myself and then others. So thank you so much, Dr. Lilly. I really appreciate you.
Nice to meet you. See you again.
Yes, ma'am. I'm gonna go ahead and ping you. Do you have Instagram?
I
I
do.
don't know
I
if I
do,
can
but
write it.
I don't know that one offhand. Let's see if I can find it here.
Okay, I do have it as well. I don't know. That's usually Instagram, and I just started my uh the thing I want to do, like talking about all of this. So like I'm Instagram. I call it dynamic biohacking.
Yeah, it's awesome. And you are just getting started. And so here, I'm going to just put this in here since it's just you and I. That's my Instagram handle.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Because when I went back, I that's why I left the channel. I fell out.
All right, thanks.
Okay,
Talk to you
beautiful.
soon.
Likewise, definitely. Take care.
Bye-bye.